Oh, like I said, man, that's a big dude. You know what I mean? He ain't even at 168. You know, when you look
Right,
at
not now. At 175,
he probably can't even make 168 no more. When you look at these fights, you know, especially
like I said, I don't want no handouts either. I want to, earn my spots everywhere I go, even at 175. But, I see that weight class. I want to become champion at 175, and that's exactly what I'm going to do.
Yeah, that's a tough fight. I don't know if Bud can overcome that. That's different. That's a lot. That's a lot to overcome. Height, reach, the speed of Benavidez coming downhill, the stamina. But this a guy that does get stronger as the fight goes also. So some of the advantages he had over Canelo, he wouldn't have at Benavidez. I think it will be a question if Benavidez can make the weight.
But yeah, I mean, if the fight comes up, the opportunity comes up, I would love that fight.
So you're saying 160 versus Crawford, you do it?
Oh yeah.
After beating Canelo Alvarez, Terence Crawford fired back at David Benavidez, saying he can't even make 168 and the boxing world can't stop talking about it. After his win over Canelo, Crawford sat down with Stephen Smith to discuss what might come next. And as Smith pressed forward, he raised the question of David Benavidez as a possible opponent. That was when Crawford unleashed a sharp response that immediately set social media and analysts on fire. With one statement, he questioned whether Benavidez could even make the super middleweight limit, suggesting that the talk of a showdown might not hold any weight at all.
But if you were at 168, when we think about anybody at 168 outside of Canelo, the first name that comes to anybody's mind is David Benavidez. What about the potential for a fight like that?
oh, like I said, man, that's a big dude. You know what I mean? He ain't even at 168. You know, when you look
Right, not now. At 175.
he probably can't even make 168 no more. When you look at these fights, you know, especially coming up, you gotta be realistic. You gotta, say, all right, how big is this dude really is? Because David Benavidez, he can fight his ass off, and I told him that a long time. I told him that when, before I fought his brother. I said, man, dude, you can fight, dude. You're gonna do big things.
Crawford's fiery remark added fuel to an already active debate over his next opponent. Among those who spoke out were Henry Cejudo and Kamaru Usman, two respected names from the MMA community, who have also been known to follow boxing closely. Both men agreed on one thing. They believe Benavidez can, in fact, make 168, and that a fight between him and Crawford would define who the real champion is. For them, it wasn't a matter of weight. It was about two big names colliding to settle the debate once and for all. They stress that fans don't want excuses or obstacles. They want the best to fight the best.
Here, Kamaru, Terence Crawford versus the Mexican monster, David Benavidez.
I knew it was coming.
He was the mandatory for Canelo.
Oh my God. Relax.
What's up? The scariest guy in the division.
He's not in the division.
He said he could still make 168 pounds. The reason why he wasn't, because nobody wants to fight him.
That's a big dude. And to be honest, Terence Crawford's 37 years old.
It's about merit. Could I get to the generational talent, as he said, with Manny Pacquiao? He's an 8-division world champ.
If it ain't no big name, Terence, do what you...
These debates swirled. Crawford used his post-fight press conference to address his critics directly. He reminded everyone how often he was doubted, how often people claimed he was a nobody, and how those same voices were now left speechless after his dismantling of Canelo. With confidence and a hint of satisfaction, Crawford asked the audience what more could possibly be said against him. It was a message of dominance. As though he knew exactly how much the landscape had shifted in his favor.
Hear that? Which do you think means the most?
And all of it. It all goes hand in hand.
Can you describe what it all means to you to have, you just made like a whole resume of stuff tonight.
It means a lot to me because, anybody can be a nobody, like I said, and that's all they say I've been fighting is nobodies. So what can they say now? Somebody tell me, what can you say now?
Can say congratulations.
Still, Benavidez did not stay silent. He rejected Crawford's jab about not being able to make 168, arguing that the issue Wasn't weight, it was division. From his perspective, Crawford has no business questioning him because they don't even compete in the same weight class. Benavidez, who sees himself as a natural 175-pounder, has his own plans and his own path to follow. For him, Crawford's comments felt more like noise than substance. More like a way to avoid stepping into dangerous territory than a real critique of his ability. No, I wouldn't fight Crawford. I'm at 175. Despite his words, many observers began to wonder whether Benavidez might be trying to avoid the matchup altogether. While Crawford's camp accused him of struggling with weight, Benavidez seemed focused on other potential opponents. Reports suggested he was already eyeing Dimitri Bivol, another dangerous name in the higher weight classes. This raised the question, is Benavidez ducking Crawford, or is he simply setting his sights on challenges that make more sense for his career trajectory?
Fight Crawford. I'm at 175.
Meanwhile, chatter about a Crawford versus Benavidez clash continued to gain momentum behind the scenes. Coach Bradman, a well-known figure in boxing, revealed that interest in the fight is real. According to Bradman, Al-Sheikh has shown strong interest in making the fight happen, hinting that forces bigger than the fighters themselves may be pushing for this showdown to take place. That revelation only poured gasoline on the fire. Because when someone like Turkey gets involved, fights often go from fantasy to reality in the blink of an eye.
And this is a tough fight. You know, the top people ranked at the WBC are fighting each other. So I mean, it should be an easy call. If I can't get those fights, then I'll go up to fight Bivol, or I'll go try to, you know, I set my conquest on 175. Like I said, I don't want no handouts either. I want to, you know, earn my spots everywhere I go, even at 175. But, you know, I see that weight class. You know, I want to become champion at 175, and that's exactly what I'm going to do.
As speculation built, David Benavidez's father and trainer, Jose Benavidez Sr., stepped forward with his own thoughts. He acknowledged Crawford's greatness and praised him for his skill and achievements, but his tone quickly shifted to a warning. In his view, Crawford might have handled Canelo, but David is an entirely different challenge. He described his son's punches as hardcore and cautioned that facing Benavidez would not be the same as facing Canelo. According to him, Crawford would be standing across from a Mexican monster at his absolute best. And the result would be far different than what fans had just witnessed. His words were not only protective but also promotional, painting David as the true danger of the division.
Even though he hasn't been at 60, there's no big names at 60. 68, maybe the Benavidez fight. That's a tough fight for Bud, I ain't gonna lie, that's a tough fight. Benavidez. Yeah, that's a tough fight. I don't know if Bud can overcome that. That's different. That's a lot. That's a lot to overcome. Height, reach, the speed of Benavidez coming downhill, the stamina. This a guy that does get stronger as the fight goes also. So some of the advantages he had over Canelo, he wouldn't have at Benavidez. I think it would be a question if Benavidez can make the weight. I know he's been there at 75.
On the other side, Crawford's longtime trainer, Bomac, was quick to shut down the idea of a Benavidez fight. While others entertained the hype, Bomac dismissed it, emphasizing that the team was focused on routine progression and more realistic future options. His words signaled that the Crawford camp was not ready to let outside pressure dictate their path, regardless of how badly fans or promoters wanted to see the fight. For Bomac, the priority was staying disciplined.
I think David's too big for Terrence Crawford. I think Terrence Crawford will be like 38 years old, you know? I mean, it will not be the same as Canelo, man. We know David comes in and throws a lot of punches and put the pressure. And no disrespect to Terrence Crawford, he's the best pound for pound. He's in the books to do history. He did something that nobody could do. But at the end of the day, we're talking about the Mexican monster, you know? David's young, strong, super big for Terrence Crawford. And, you know, even Terrence Crawford said that Kabalowski's or whatever.
Even as this back and forth unfolded, another voice entered the mix, Virgil Ortiz. The young fighter not only offered his take, but also called out Crawford directly. Ortiz said he would gladly step into the ring with Crawford, but only on his own condition. The fight would take place at 160 pounds. To him, it wasn't a big problem, and he was more than willing to test himself against the reigning pound-for-pound king. Ortiz positioned himself as someone ready to step up when others were still circling around negotiations.
Canelo,
Turkey
people,
dropped.
you know, people
Turkey,
are talking about it.
Turkey hinted at that. He was like Benavidez.
Yeah, he
Turkey,
did.
so
He Turkey just posted that this morning, wondering if Benavidez can make 168. Maybe he has plans or ideas of maybe trying to match up Benavidez and Terrence Crawford.
No,
there.
no, we ain't doing that fight.
Maybe planning on vacating the belt.
No, we ain't gonna vacate the belts. You know, we just gonna sit where we need to sit for a minute, and then, just like I said, get back in the gym and do our thing.
And
he don't asked about the possibility of Benavidez making 168. He dismissed the idea entirely. In his eyes, there was little chance of Benavidez successfully cutting down to that weight. Ortiz argued that the super middleweight limit would be far too difficult for Benavidez to hit, especially at this stage in his career. In saying this, Ortiz not only threw shade at Benavidez, but also cast doubt on the fight that so many people were hoping for. His remarks echoed Crawford's original criticism, but added more force from an outsider's perspective.
I mean, if the fight comes up, the opportunity comes up, I would love that fight.
So you're saying 160 versus Crawford, you do it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Even if it's right now like at 154, like let's say he says, you know what, I want you to jump up to 160.
Why not? I mean, I feel like I'm a big 154 as it is, you know? I mean, I was a big 140. I was a 140, a big 140, a big 147, a big 154. I think 160, I've always said I'd go to 160 eventually. So.
This mixture of comments, reactions, and predictions has left fans with plenty to think about. Crawford has already solidified himself as one of the greatest fighters of the decade. A man who silenced his doubters by conquering Canelo and achieving the kind of historic feat few boxers ever will. Yet, even with that victory fresh in everyone's mind, the narrative has shifted to what's next. The buzz has grown louder by the day, turning every interview, podcast, and article into part of the same larger question: who will Crawford face next? And will Benavidez be the one to step up?
I mean, I don't know if David can make the weight anymore. I mean, it's one thing to want to go down, but are you still able to? So I don't know. Would it entice him? Maybe, but that doesn't mean that he can do it, you know? I mean, that's he's been at 168 for a while.
Benavidez continues to loom as both a potential rival and a question mark. His weight, focus, and intentions are all under scrutiny. Analysts, fighters, and even family members have spoken, but no one can say for certain if the fight will materialize. What is clear is that the tension between these two names has sparked new life into boxing's ongoing debates. The drama is no longer just about Crawford's greatness or Benavidez's potential. It's about whether or not these two paths will collide in the ring.
Oh, Crawford had Benavidez.
He said he wanted if Benavidez to make 168.
We just talked to Womack and he was like, "Nah, we don't want to do that."
I just think Benavidez. He's like what, 6'5", 6 something like that. He's a big dude, bro. Yeah. He's a big dude, man. So I just who knows? Now you got fight announcements now. They got Rey Mysterio fighting Andrew Tate and I don't know, just crazy stuff. So we'll see.
Turkey Al Sheikh's behind-the-scenes involvement to Ortiz's unexpected call-out. The situation has become more layered with every passing day. Crawford's critics have been silenced, but new voices continue to challenge him. Benavidez's father has issued warnings, but trainers like Womack and fighters like Ortiz have pushed the story in other directions. The boxing world, as always, thrives on these twists and turns.
Just Turkey trying to pull rank. So Turkey trying to show he got a golden arm. You know what I mean?
I understand that Turkey likes to make these big grand events, but there's a boxing aspect to this shit too. Like, some stuff gotta make boxing sense. Bringing the dude down that's been comfortable at 75, bringing him back down to 68 and then having him fight a dude that just jumped 3 weight classes, 2 fights, and started his career off at 35.
Right.
Like, no, bro. No.
Yeah, I don't want to see that.
And so the question remains, will Crawford and Benavidez ever share the same ring? Or will their feud remain just another chapter in boxing's long history?
Boxing world, as always, thrives on these twists and turns.
Would you ever entertain a fight with Benavidez?
You gotta understand.
I gotta ask you, bro, because I can't, you know?
My thing is, Benavidez is a big dude. Not to say I won't fight him. I fought his brother. His brother was big when I fought him. The only reason why I entertain Canelo is because he's not a big dude. He might be thick, but he's not a big dude. Benavidez is like 6 foot something. Then he gonna come in 190, 200 probably. You know what I mean? Like, you never know. Like, that's a big dude.
And he's skilled.
I might as well go to heavyweight if I fight him.
Alright everyone, stay tuned for the latest in boxing news, highlights, events, and stories. Subscribe to Legacy Rounds and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Be sure to watch our other videos too. Until next time, take care and stay safe.